Are we going? Okay, well, the internet is a double-edged sword. It disseminates a lot of very interesting, useful information that the people in charge of the mass media intentionally try to cover up and uh, distract us from. But it also is a medium for communicating all manner of degeneracy and filth too. So I think it's probably perverting more young people than it is enlightening adults. But one good thing about the internet is that you can actually, if you know what you're looking for, buy a lot of things that you remember from your childhood. I remember for a long time some of my early readers when I was a kid learning to read. And I worked in the Valley. Must have worked in about 6 different bookstores, and I never came across these books, so I was able to order them like fairly quickly over the internet. I actually tracked down. Actually, Karen bought me this one. This is my first reader. When I was a kid, I don't know, it was about 3 or 4 years old. My grandparents bought me this book, Benjamin in the Woods. I think it was published in 1963, I believe. I think so. And this is I guess supposedly to teach me to read. I don't remember them actually sitting down trying to teach me to read. So maybe they figured like just by having this book, that this knowledge of how to read would kind of like seep into me through osmosis or something like that. But I remember the stories in this book. I remember the one storyline that made the only storyline actually that made an impression on me with this book was he keeps bringing home like woodland creatures. Like he brings home a baby deer. His mom's like, "Oh, that's really cute, but you gotta let him go back to his mommy." And then he comes with a baby skunk next, and she's like, "Oh, can you get that out of the house?" And then the big climax is he brought home a baby bear cub, and his mom like totally freaked out. And then the mama bear came looking for the cub. So I remember that part of the book. I don't think I ever actually learned to read from this book. I just basically kind of like looked at the pictures to glean what the story was, like a typical kid does. But so this is a charming book. This is the kind of children's books we used to have like back in the 50s and 60s and stuff. I remember this. And then I actually had to go learn to read in elementary school like most people. And I think Dick and Jane had just like gone out of print like around 64 or 65, and then the Janet and Mark books came in. And this is the Janet and Mark books that we learned from. I remember this one. This is like one of our first readers. And yeah, it's got like charming illustrations in it. And it has an interesting device where, where is it? Where they introduce new words, they use a picture. So the kid's like, he doesn't know how to read the word bike, so they'll have a picture of the word, of the bicycle. And then I guess later on they'll start to wean him into actually recognizing the word. Like here's one where they're talking about cowboys and Indians, and see that there's the Indians, and the Indians, of course, they're chasing the cowboys. I don't know if this is some kind of early politically correct cultural Marxist indoctrination. They got to show the Indians chasing off the white guys, I guess.
Ew, there's blood in it.
It's not blood. It's probably just some kind of like water damage, I would think. And here's more cowboys and Indian pictures. So yeah, I remember I had a very difficult time learning to read. I thought I'd never learn to read. I used to get real depressed about that. But by the time I was in 5th grade, I was reading bestsellers. I think in 4th grade, I got that book, The Secret Life of Plants. I was reading that, and then in 5th grade, in 1975, I read Jaws. And I think what helped me to learn to read actually was since I was interested in cartoons and drawings, I got interested in Mad Magazine like around 1974, 1975. And I think that more than anything else helped me to learn to read. Although I do have a lot of problems with that kind of like cynical, caustic kind of humor. I think that's part of like an overall sort of part of the hostile elite's evil agenda to like bring down Western civilization. Because I was reading like some of those Mad paperbacks I recently bought, and there was a spoof of that old TV show, The Rifleman. And I remember the running gag in that piece about how I'm a peace-loving man, and that's why I'm piling up so many dead bodies behind me. It's almost like a criticism of like white America's way of keeping the peace, having to use some violence to prevent violence. But it's like, what kind of message is that sending people? It's like, oh, just mind your own business, stay cool, and just like let the wicked people run around and do what they want to do. You don't want to bloody your hands. You just stay good, and you just let everything go to hell. Another book I had I guess that was in our personal library that left kind of impression on me was the Mother Goose rhymes, which are kind of twisted, not really terribly good rhymes either, a lot of them, but they're kind of like sick. I remember one I couldn't find it in here. Like some kid talking to a snail about telling him to like come in and push out his horns, and he would smash his shell with his fist or something like that. That's just one example of the kind of stuff they had in there. But the edition of Mother Goose I can't find it though because I don't remember like anything involved with it aside from the fact the illustrations for this particular edition were like these pen and ink drawings. I found this one on Amazon. It has like these. It looks like kind of like watercolor drawings in it. But the edition I had was printed on like really thick paper and had like these nice pen and ink illustrations. I mean, these are charming illustrations too. This is like done like I think 1916. I don't know when the one I had was published. If I knew anything about it, I would try to track it down. But it was a long time ago. I can't remember. So Got Mother Goose. That's another early reader. I remember like grandmother used to read to me from this. The only other book I remember from our home library there was a book on Abraham Lincoln, and there was a bunch of like old like World War II era like I guess mystery novels and stuff from my grandparents' library. I guess.
What about the Bible poop?
I already talked about that. That was another story about my stupid sister.
Yeah, but that was part of the home library that.
Well, that was just one of those like kind of like kids books they kind of like pick up on a whim when they're out shopping and stuff. Those kind of things are always like going through the house and getting thrashed one way or another. Although my sister destroyed that book was pretty noteworthy. But but yeah. And funny thing, my grandmother was really mad at me because apparently, since there's a bookshelf in my room with a lot of these books on it, of course I've decorated a lot of the volumes with like little pencil doodles and drawings and stuff like that. And I guess my grandmother kind of shared that kind of like working class fascination with the sanctity of the written word. So that was a terrible, terrible sin I committed by like drawing in those books. I wish I could find those. I wrote some pretty funny things in those books. Oh jeez, yeah, I was obsessed with drawing on things. I remember I drew a lot of stuff in crayon, like on my walls of my bedroom. I remember one time I had this like fake wood paneling kind of stuff in my room, and the planks were like different thicknesses. I remember one time when I was a kid, I was looking at the lines of the paneling, and like some of them like were too far apart. So I took my crayon and tried to like correct it and put little lines between. But I think by the time they discovered that, they pretty much. I already done so much damage that it didn't even faze them anymore because they knew I was a terror with those crayons. So they were like through punishing me about it. They're just like, well, this is your room, so you can mess it up as much as you want, I guess. But yeah, so I just wanted to show you these books. I've been reading a few books lately too. I'll do some reviews on the books. I read a Bram Stoker book. I'm reading a Charles Dickens book, and I started the Edgar Allan Poe complete works edition. It's not conglomeration. What do you call those? Anthology. So I'll come back and I'll talk about those things. But just wanted to share some of my early readers with you guys. Okay, see you next video.
Wait, could you show in Janet and Mark the fruit? I missed that. It's kind of a neat picture.
The one where she's tending the fruit trees.
Yeah.
Janet and Mark. Now, I don't remember Janet and Mark being quite so.
Or it's tomatoes.
Quite so toe-headed. I remember them being darker haired, but I can't think I must have misremembered that. Because I don't know why they discontinued Dick and Jane and started Janet and Mark. I know eventually they wanted to work into like the whole like PC propaganda thing, but they still seem pretty white bread to me. You know, I don't know why they bothered changing, because they used Dick and Jane since I think like the Second World War. I think I don't know who they had before that, but they're nice drawings. Nice memories of the way the country used to be. Back when we had our own country.
You can see the haircuts.
Yeah, those buzz cuts. And the thing is, though, I had my hair cut like these kids, but I remember all the other kids in the 70s, everyone was growing their hair out, and kids used to like relentlessly make fun of me for having short hair. Of course, my grandparents always made sure I always had a haircut whenever I started getting a little bit shaggy. And it wasn't until like 10th grade that they let me grow my hair out. I guess by that point they'd given up on me. But you know, even though I was able to grow my hair out, I still really didn't feel cool. Of course I didn't feel cool because like the whole concept of cool is a lot of friggin' nonsense. Anyway, yeah, so look at that. See, they introduced the word squirrels, and squirrel's kind of a hard word for kids, so they just like put little pictures of squirrels there.
That's very cute.
You know, their dog's name is Socks. It's an interesting story because they put up a bird feeder and all the birds are eating, and then the squirrels come, they upset the bird feeder and spill the stuff out and scare all the birds away. And so their dog comes and chases the squirrels away. Maybe there's some kind of subliminal propaganda in there in that story. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it very deeply. But my favorite picture in here is when Mark puts on his spacesuit, starts walking around like an alien or something like that. They're there looking at bunny rabbits. There she is playing with the TV. Cowboys and Indians. I didn't know Janet liked cowboys and Indians. Apparently, he's scuba diving in the big pool out backyard they got. And where is the? I'll find. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Here's Mark capering about in his cool spacesuit. Boy, I would have loved to have one of those when I was a kid. I'll tell you that. Well, I'm not trying to say I didn't have any cool toys when I was a kid, but I didn't get all the toys I wanted.
But you had a TV of your own, a TV in your room.
Yeah, I had a black and white TV. We had black and white. We would get like secondhand cheap
and your
black and
sister
white
had
TV.
her own TV too.
Yeah, just so I wouldn't be arguing about what to watch on television, because this is back in the days before you had like VCRs, so everyone had to just watch whatever the hell which just happened to be on. And if something was on at the same time something else was on, you just had to decide which one you're gonna watch. You couldn't watch it at a later time or just videotape it while you're watching something else. Yeah, life was much more hard back in the 70s, wasn't it? And if you wanted to research something, you could just go on Google and find out in an instant everything you want to know. You had to go to the library and go through the stacks and go through those stupid card files, and oh man, it'd take you all afternoon just to get a couple friggin' names and dates for some shit. In a lot of ways, yeah, like I said, because the internet is a wonderful source of information, but like I said, it's a double-edged sword, because kids, they go on the internet and they see all kinds of disgusting degeneracy and pornography and filth and stuff like that, and there's really not much you can do about it. These filters, I mean, there's always ways around them. But the flip side of that is, there's a lot of very important information out there. But unfortunately, given human nature, I think a lot of people ignore a lot of important information because it has negative associations. But life is a fucking bitch, and if you can't deal with that, you're gonna fucking get iced. That's all I can tell you. And unfortunately, I think we're kind of earmarked for destruction at this point. I don't really see any. And I don't want to make this video into something else. I just want to talk about my stupid books. Okay, guys, see you next video. Okay.